Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be podficking the third chapter of How to Stop a World-Ending War. This is chapter 3, Setting Sail. Alright, time to set sail, Luffy yelled. Over the past 10 years, he had remastered his fruit, hockey, and the two powers that he wanted, although Gear 5 hadn't been awakened yet. Zoro had done the same thing, except with his sword skills instead of a fruit, and Kuina had become a lot stronger in the last 3 years too. She had full control of the two types of hockey that she could use, plus she was a lot more adept with the sword thanks to Zoro's training. She also started working on Zoro and Gebo, but didn't have time to fully master them. "You got it, Captain," Zoro smiled as he started rowing. The Lord of the Coast tried to stop them, but a small amount of targeted Conqueror's hockey kept it from even surfacing. "Bye, Luffy, we'll miss you," Makino yelled, seeing the small boat exiting the harbor. "I'll come back as the Pirate King, you'll see," Luffy shouted as the island disappeared from sight. When they reached the whirlpool, Luffy grabbed the barrel with their supplies, and Zoro, much to Queen's embarrassment, gave her a piggyback ride as the other two geppo towards the cruise liner that they knew would soon be under attack from Alvida. They used Zoro to quickly make their way to a hiding place as they landed on the deck, and Luffy unconsciously scanned the ship with his observation hockey, a habit he picked up during the war to make sure his crew didn't get ambushed. He didn't detect any threats, so the three of them just hung out until Alvida showed up. Leaving Zoro and Queen on deck to deal with the other pirates, Luffy went to go find Kobe. Knowing where the pink-haired boy was thanks to his observation hockey, he went to the food storage room and accidentally bumped into him. Sorry," he said. "Hey, you know where the food is?" Kobe stared at him in shock. Who are you?" "I'm Monkey D. Luffy, the man who will be king of the pirates," Luffy replied. "What's your name?" After the introductions and Kobe's explanation of how he ended up in Alvida's ship, Kobe asked why Luffy wanted to be the Pirate King despite the impossibility of ever achieving such a dream. Luffy tilted his head. "Impossible? Why would it be impossible?" he asked. Reaching up to his hat, he said, "I promised on this hat that I'd do it, and I will. Even if I were to die, I do it fighting for my dream, so that'd be okay. As long as my nakama are with me, I can do it this time," he silently added, as Kobe's face showed utter admiration for his words. "Hey, Luffy-san, do you think I could ever be a marine?" he said quietly. "Of course," Luffy said. "You can do whatever you want if you have the courage for it." Those words seemed to inspire Kobe, and he yelled, "I'm going to be the best marine ever, and I'm going to catch Alvida first." She, Luffy laughed. "Well, it sounds like they've already lost, so now's your chance to turn her in." He grabbed the shocked Kobe and ran back to the deck, where Queen had just finished her fight with Alvida. "So how'd she do?" he asked Zoro, who was watching Queen after he'd easily taken out the underlings. Zoro nodded. "She did well. She didn't even use her hockey and easily won the match." At this point, Kobe couldn't take it anymore and passed out from shock. Luffy sighed and caught Kobe, then tossed Queen some rope that he found below deck. "Tie her up and put her in there," he said, motioning to the rowboat that was hanging off the side of the ship. Queen did as told and joined the other three in the boat, which they then lowered into the water. "Now we need to get to Shellstown. Can you get us there?" he asked Queen. She nodded, and the five of them headed for the marine base. Let's hope Sanji did it, Luffy thought before going to sleep. When Kobe woke up, he immediately asked where they were. "We're about to land in Shellstown," Luffy replied, pointing to the island. "You want to be a marine, right? I heard this base is run by a pretty good guy, so this would be a good place for you to enlist. Plus, you could turn in Alvida." After Kobe finished freaking out about pirates being nice to him and them being in Alvida, they entered the town. Luffy told the others that he was going on ahead, and used Zoro to quickly cross the rooftops towards the base, while the others headed there at a more normal pace. He landed on a roof near the base, and used his observation hockey to scan the area. He had run into Morgan during the war, so he knew his aura, but didn't sense him at all, although he did notice Helmeppo inside the base. Good, he thought with a smile. Looks like Sanji completed this mission at least. I wonder if he did the others too. About 10 minutes later, he felt Zoro's aura flash once, then settle back into his suppressed state as Luffy jumped down to join them. Zoro gave him a questioning look, and Luffy nodded. "Okay, Kobe, time for you to hand over Alvida." Kobe was scared, of course, but a stern look from Luffy cut off whatever he was about to say, and Queen knocked on the door. "Hello, how may I help you?" asked the random marine that opened the door. Kobe was frozen until Luffy nudged him. Hi, I'm here to turn in a pirate with a bounty, Kobe managed. I'd also like to join the Marines, please. Can you wait here, please? I'll be right back with the commander, the Marine said. Within a few minutes, he was back with the leader of the base, who had a short conversation with Kobe before taking Alvita from him and inviting him inside. Luffy, however, told him to wait. Passing Kobe a note, he said, "Do your best to follow these instructions, okay? Promise me you'll try?" When Kobe nodded, confused, Luffy added, "And don't show that to anyone except my grandpa. You'll know who he is soon enough." He also gave a letter to the Marine commander before Kobe and the Marines disappeared into the base. The other three walked back to the little boat, and Luffy gave the order to set sail for Orangetown. Inside the Shellstown Marine Base. After showing Kobe to his new room, Commander Ripper looked at the letter the Straw Hat Boy had given him. Eh? Please tell Vice Admiral Garp that Luffy recommends Kobe and Homeppo as Marine replacements for himself and his brother, and that those two have a lot of potential. Signed, Mugiwara. How am I supposed to do that? The commander yelled. And Homeppo too? Really? When they finally spotted the bird, they followed it until they landed at Orangetown. Luffy's observation hockey picked up on the buggy pirates, who they were there to defeat, so they headed to the base of the pathetically weak pirates. Zoro let Kuina practice her skills on Moji, Richie, and Kabaji while he took out everyone else with a single Dragon Twister, and Luffy easily one-shot Buggy. As Buggy was about to pass out, Luffy whispered, "Your captain will be so disappointed." Buggy's eyes widened in horror before the shocked clown lost consciousness. "Well, that's done," Luffy said, standing up. Zoro watched as Kuina finished off her three opponents, who were shocked that their captain and crew had lost that quickly, especially since it was obvious that Luffy and Zoro weren't even trying. The three of them tied up the pirates and put them on Buggy's ship, then raided the treasure vault and put half the money on their own ship. The other half was left at Choo-Choo's pet shop, along with a note that told the Marin citizens what had happened to Buggy's crew and who had defeated them. After setting Buggy's ship adrift and a little adventure with a man in a treasure chest, the three of them headed for Syrup Village. Upon arriving on the beach, the three of them were greeted by an army. Their leader declared himself as Captain Usopp and tried to threaten them to leave, but Luffy just asked if he was Yasopp's son, and Usopp promptly fell off the cliff. They went to a restaurant where Luffy amazed Usopp and Kuina with all of his stories about Yasopp's adventures with Shanks, then asked if they could get a ship somewhere. This went much as he remembered, with Usopp running off to Kaya's mansion and them following Usopp's crew there after a bit. Kuro came out and mocked Yasopp, which resulted in Usopp punching Kuro and then running off to his cliff. Luffy followed him to reassure him that Kuro was wrong and Yasopp was a great guy, and then Kuro and Django appeared beneath them to very loudly discuss their secret plan to kill Kaya. Usopp got angrier the more he heard, but Luffy, who hadn't revealed himself this time, grabbed his arm before he could run towards the village to warn them. "You lie about pirates every day, so why would they believe you this time?" he said in a whisper. Usopp froze and Luffy continued. "Let's just stop them before they even had a chance to make it to the village, and the townsfolk won't need to ever know about this. They're going to attack the North Shore at dawn, so let's get Zoro and Kuina and head over there." Usopp sighed, but agreed with Luffy's plan. They set up some traps on the slope and waited for dawn. At sunrise, the Black Cat pirates arrived, and Usopp immediately started picking them off with his amazing sniping skills. Kuina also helped by practicing her ranged slashes, which Zoro had shown her during their training. She was getting better, but hadn't quite mastered it yet. Whenever some of the pirates made it past the oil and the caltrops, Zoro hit them with the back of his sword to send them flying back down the slope. Luffy was watching the chaos with a smile on his face as the pirates were getting more and more agitated. Django panicked since he knew Kuro would be furious, and tried to hypnotize his troops to be stronger. Unfortunately for him, Luffy just asked Usopp to take out Django, and one exploding star later, he was unconscious on the ground. At this point, a fuming Captain Kuro tried to sneakily attack Luffy from behind, but Luffy had been waiting for him to show up the entire time and simply spun around, dodged his claws, and slammed his face into the cliff, breaking his glasses and knocking him out. The pirates were stunned. Not only had they been defeated by teenagers, but their leader had easily been taken out in a single hit. They quickly fled the battle, picking up their defeated comrades and heading back to their ship, before a voice made them freeze. "You're going to abandon your captain, are you?" Luffy said. While they all shook their heads, scared out of their minds, he sighed and threw Kuro at the pirates. "Take him and leave. I don't want to see your faces ever again." The terrified pirates hightailed it out of there, and their ship disappeared to the horizon. Usopp was in complete shock, but before he could ask any questions, Luffy said they should go make sure Kaya was okay, and that temporarily snapped him out of it. As they neared the mansion, they ran into Kaya coming out of the gate, and Usopp immediately ran to talk to her. Kaya, are you okay? Godo didn't hurt you, right? No, I'm fine. Usopp-san, how did you know about Clohador? She questioned. While Zoro congratulated Kuina on how much she'd improved, Usopp explained how he and Luffy had overheard Godo and Django talking about their plans, and Kaya explained how she had found Mary after he had been attacked by Godo. But it's okay now, because we stopped them, Usopp reassured her. And this crazy guy knocked out Godo with one hit. It didn't even look like he was trying, he said, pointing at Luffy. She, Luffy laughed. You should have seen the battle, Kaya. Usopp was so cool. He and Kuina were taking down everyone. And Usopp, I may have taken down Godo in one hit, but don't forget that weird guy was their second in command. You took him out with just one shot. With some more practice, you could be the best sniper ever, he said with stars in his eyes, taking the opportunity to gush about his nakama. Yeah, it was awesome, wasn't it? Wasn't I? Usopp said, puffing out his chest. Nothing can defeat the great Captain Usopp. Wow, Usopp-san, I wish I could have seen it, Kaya said. I'm glad you didn't, Kuina interjected. After all, you were their entire goal, and it's better that you were safe here. Luffy is right, though. Usopp fought very bravely to protect you and the village. I'm looking forward to seeing more of that, Usopp, Zoro said. Since my captain wants you as our crew sniper and all. Yep, Luffy said, as Usopp looked between him and Zoro. I hope you join, Kuina said. They'll need you in the Grand Line. Having one more person around to help these two reckless idiots wouldn't hurt. Hey, Luffy and Zoro complained. Wait, are you not part of the crew? Usopp asked, confused. No, I'm just traveling with them for now, Kuina replied. I was training with them for a few years, but I'll be going back to my dojo soon. Luffy nodded. As soon as we meet up with our other crewmate, he's going to take her home. We're actually going to see him next, so she won't be with us much longer. Give me the night to think it over, okay? Usopp said. Maybe I'll join after all. The next morning, Luffy and Zoro were reunited with an old friend, as Kaya showed them their reward for defending the village. Welcome back, Mary, Luffy thought as a tear slipped down his face. I know you can't come to the New World with us, but we're sure going to do our best to get you to Water 7 in the best shape possible. Suddenly, Usopp came rolling down the hill, having tripped on his way down, and Luffy stopped him with a foot to his shoulder this time instead of his face. He stood up, brushed himself off, and said, Thanks, I decided to accept your offer and join your crew. So when are we heading out, Captain? A giant smile grew on Luffy's face as he celebrated Usopp's return to the crew, and even Zoro gave a small smile. After a heartwarming goodbye and Mary explaining how to sail his namesake, the four set out for their next destination, the sea restaurant, Bratier. And that is Chapter 3. Thanks for listening, everyone, and I will see you next time. Have a great day, everyone.